Quick disclaimer, information in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended to be treated as medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare team before making changes to your diet, lifestyle, supplementation, or medication.
Information overload and decision fatigue can lead to frustration and a lack of action. So there comes a time when you just got to stop looking around. You have to stop searching the Wild West Web, collect your thoughts and energy, and you have to start taking action.
Welcome to Type 2 Diabetes Talk, the place where we chat about what really works to treat type 2 diabetes and prediabetes naturally with nutrition and lifestyle. If you're looking to optimize blood sugar and A1C, lose weight, reduce medications, and improve your overall health, this is the place to be. Now, here's your host, Type 2 Diabetes Nutrition Specialist, Dr. Jetta.
Hello, wonderful people. Dr. Jetta here, and welcome to today's episode where we're covering a topic that so many people struggle with: information overload. If you're ever searched online for advice about managing your type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, which of course many of you have, you've been bombarded with all kinds of conflicting information. What to eat, what to avoid, what exercises to do, which supplements to take. So much conflicting information, it's exhausting, right? And after a while, you can start to feel stuck, frustrated, and certainly very confused, wondering which advice is actually worth following. You're certainly not alone in this. Megan said, "My head is all over the place trying to figure out what I can and can't eat and everything else." Jeanette, who shared her story recently in episode 88. When Jeanette first joined us as a member, she said, "I'm tired of the information overload. I need one, hopefully the best, doable plan to stop my prediabetes from progressing to type 2 diabetes as it did with my parents and sister." Well, we know Jeanette is now back to normal A1C levels and feeling a whole lot better than ever. Information overload is what brings many of our members to us, in fact. They are sick and tired of being overwhelmed, confused and lost, not getting results, treading water, and they just want advice and guidance they can trust so they can focus on the things that really matter to get results rather than chasing their tails for days, weeks, months, or even years on end. And this topic, information overload, it's something that's been coming up again and again lately, which is why I thought this would make a great discussion for the podcast, because maybe right now you're facing information overload and feeling overwhelmed, confused, and frustrated. Well, this episode will help you cut through the noise, and by the end of today's chat, you'll have some practical strategies to sort out the good advice from the bad and focus on what really matters to improve your blood sugar and health. I want to start by talking about why information overload is such a big issue when it comes to type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. We live in a world where information is now everywhere. Blogs, the never-ending stream of social media, podcasts, friends, and even health organisations. You go searching the Wild West Web, you read an article, someone posts something in a Facebook group, you see something on TikTok, a friend tells you something that's working for them, you hear a podcast episode with a new magic trick to fix your diabetes overnight. It sounds exciting, different, promising, and just like that, you're off on a wild goose chase. But here's the catch. Not all of it is good information, and much of it can be contradictory and even bad information. Before you know it, your head is spinning in circles because with so much advice coming from every direction, it's hard to know what's what. And this isn't just a minor inconvenience. It can be emotionally draining and have real consequences for your health. With all the people I've worked with over the years who've told me they feel overwhelmed and defeated, I completely understand. They've tried following all sorts of advice, but when it doesn't work and their health seems to have worsened, they blame themselves. That's not a good place to end up at. And here's the truth, it's not your fault that might happen. When you're given conflicting advice, it's like trying to follow a map with too many routes. You get lost. That's what's called decision fatigue. When you're faced with too many options, your brain simply shuts down. Instead of moving forward with confidence, you feel stuck, and that's where frustration and even burnout can come into play. But it can be hard because when it comes to managing type 2 and prediabetes, not all advice is created equal. Some of it is based on sound scientific evidence, while other advice is outdated or frankly, just plain wrong. So how do you know? Let's chat about some things that can help you spot reliable information. It can be tricky, but the first thing you can do is look for evidence-based advice that comes from reputable sources. So the first question to ask is, where is this information coming from? Is it based on peer review studies, clinical research, or expert recommendations? Or is it just someone's opinion or a personal anecdote, or even just an unqualified person saying whatever it is they're saying? Now, these questions may sound like a simple enough thing to ask, but again, it can be tricky out there on the Wild West Web. If you're sourcing information from some of these big health sites that commonly come up in search, like Everyday Health or Healthline or things similar to that, they appear to be reputable sources, but are they really? Well, not really. These sites parade themselves like they are based on quality information and evidence, and they also often say medically reviewed. But the reality is these huge sites, they pay writers to write articles that may link to scientific research, but the interpretation of that research isn't good. It's just a quick read of the abstract or a bunch of blanket statements, not quality research, not really sound advice that can truly help. And the medical reviewers, they often don't confirm the facts really either. One example I can think of right now, just off the top of my head, is that you often see articles online promoting, say, superfoods for diabetes, and they often include foods like whole grains in these lists. And we know whole grains are maybe a good food for healthy people, but they're not a good food to help people achieve good blood sugar control. So these articles can be based on blanket statements and societal narratives for foods that people assume are healthy, and they may be for the general public, but for people with diabetes, many of these claims don't actually link back to scientific evidence. Instead, they're based on buzzwords and headlines designed to grab attention. Reliable advice comes from trusted sources. But how can you tell it's a trusted source? Well, here are some quality indicators you could think about. Peer-reviewed research. That's where we can get solid information to help us work out what works and what doesn't. But the people translating that research to you and the public need to know diabetes. Otherwise, the outcome is often those stupid blanket articles we see everywhere that I just spoke about. Then there's programs that base their recommendations on real clinical outcomes like the ones we provide at DMP. Be careful of the programs you choose because not that many are based on actual clinical evidence. Very few are, in fact. It's rare for programs to have clinical evidence to back them. Our program has been through a randomised control trial and is the only online nutrition program worldwide to do so, and it's been proven to reduce A1C, weight and medications. Showing up consistently is a potential sign of a trusted source. We share this podcast every week, for example, now with 90 episodes. So that can be a signal of quality information, someone showing up consistently or someone sharing quality evidence and effective strategies. How long someone has been doing what they do. For example, we've been around for more than a decade, so the length of time and expertise someone has can be a quality signal. Results. Our members are experiencing real life results. We share real testimonials in every podcast, and you can hear member stories. For example, Jeanette's story in episode 88, Lisa in episode 61, Paul in episode 72, along with others in earlier episodes. Or visit our website to read or listen to the hundreds of testimonials. That's a quality signal. There are a lot of quality signals you can look out for, but you really need to be actually on the lookout for these things. You have to be conscious of the fact that you need to be on the lookout for these and not just listen to anything you read or hear. Because when you just become that little bit more conscious, that is going to help you overcome a lot of this information overload, because you really will start seeing the signals quite clearly once you become conscious, just making that a practice in everything you do.
Are you ready to take charge of your diabetes health? Dr. Jetta's T2 diet program has been clinically proven in a randomized controlled trial to dramatically reduce A1C, weight, and medications in just 16 weeks. The T2 diet program will guide you step by step to discover an eating plan that feels natural and sustainable for you, and most importantly, works to get results. Learn more and join the program today at type2diabetestalk.com/programs.
Another important step you can take, which again takes a little bit of thinking, is to watch out for those extreme or contradictory claims. So a major red flag is any advice that sounds way too good to be true. You know the type. This one food will reverse your diabetes, or never eat carbs again if you want to be healthy, or if you just eat one meal a day it will cure your diabetes, or eating 2 cups of mangoes can prevent diabetes. That was one of the crazy headlines we discussed in episode 80 actually. Really, out there on the Wild West Web, this stuff, it never stops. The truth is, reversing type 2 diabetes or prediabetes doesn't come down to one miracle food or one extreme approach. Sure, there are nutrition principles that are essential to follow, but you don't need to eliminate everything or follow extreme diets to see remarkable improvements. And crazy headlines that just don't logically make sense, like eating a high sugar fruit will prevent or solve your diabetes, that's just stupid. So if the advice you're reading seems overly restricted or doesn't make sense, isn't logical, take a step back and question its validity. Another question you could ask is, does it align with your goals and progress? Ask yourself, does this advice support the specific goals I have for my health right now, like lowering blood sugar, improving A1C, or reducing medications? Sometimes advice might be valid for general health or diabetes prevention, but it might not be effective for treating type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. So that's something to look out for. We spoke about the difference between treatment versus prevention back in episode 2. And this is a very important distinction when reading or searching for info out on the Wild West Web. Type 2 diabetes treatment is very different to diabetes prevention. Diet and nutrition recommendations for someone who is healthy versus someone who has an altered metabolism, someone living with pre or T2 diabetes, is not going to be the same. But often this information is presented in a way that comes across like it's for treatment, but really the research or any advice around it is only for prevention. And also keep this in mind with health providers you might work with. Many dietitians don't specialise, so it's not uncommon that people with diabetes receive generalised and outdated advice. Medical doctors are trained to diagnose and prescribe medications, but that doesn't make them experts in nutrition and lifestyle or natural strategies to treat pre and type 2 diabetes. So if you want to treat your diabetes naturally, often you can't rely on your medical doctor alone. So always ask yourself, does this advice support the specific goals I have for my health, whether that be lowering blood sugar, improving A1C, or reducing medications, etc. If it does, that's great. If not, move on. Another really interesting indicator to look for is, are the programs on offer reasonably priced and real? And I wanted to mention all the different programs you might come across, because when I was speaking to Jeanette, who was on episode 88, she mentioned seeing some crazy programs out there on the Wild West Web. I've also heard other members in similar situations. For instance, an unqualified person trying to sell the cure to reverse diabetes for $2,000, and all that program includes is a couple of PDF downloads and access to a Facebook group. That's not a good program. Or a program charging $5,000 as the solution to their diabetes with limited resources and support. That's actually a real story. And then this member joined us and said we offered so much more value and support for the very small cost of $180 for a 1-year membership compared to their $5,000 that they spent and did not get a solution. So you really need to look for this. These are quality indicators. When looking for programs, again ask, are these recommendations based on real clinical outcomes, like the ones we provide at DMP? Our program has been through a randomised control trial and is the only online nutrition program worldwide to do so, and it's been proven to reduce A1C, weight and medications. We publish multiple manuscripts in leading international journals across the world. And results. Does the program have proven results from members? Sometimes this might be hard to determine because potentially people can falsify testimonials. But if you see videos or hear podcasts, such as the many we've shared, then you know these come from real people. Of course, not everyone likes to share their stories in audio or video, but it can be an additional indicator that the program is real. Real support. That's another thing you could question. Is there also support available? For instance, we have monthly member check-ins, so our members have the opportunity to ask questions or share challenges and get personal feedback, advice and support. And they can also submit their quarterly health report and receive one-on-one help. And our members find this highly valuable because, let's face it, you might have questions or need help with something, so it's good to know that's available to you, right? So questioning whether there is real support is a very important quality indicator. Before we move on to bring all this together and simplify how you can overcome information overload, let's hear a testimonial from one of our members.
Anne-Marie said, "After 16 weeks of following the prediabetes program and its recommendations, my A1C went from 5.9 to 5.5. Thank you, Dr. Jetta, for developing this life-saving program. I've recommended DMP to friends and to my MD, who was most pleased with my results. In fact, my MD regards my success as proof that prediabetes can be reversed, and lifestyle change is everything."
I've shared lots of quality indicators you can think about to sort the good information from the bad, to choose reliable sources over fluff or hype. But there is one more thing that is very important: to simplify and stay consistent. You don't need 17 different strategies. You don't need to trial every new headline, new supplement, or trending food plan. What you need is a core foundation, just a few things that you can focus on and stick with consistently. For example, that could be following a lower carb nutrition plan. Listen to episode 22 on 3 simple steps to lower carbs for better A1C. And get a copy of our recommended food list. Go to type2diabetestalk.com/food list. You can get that for free, and this will help you focus on some core nutrition principles. You can monitor your blood sugar after meals so you know how food is affecting you. Listen to episode 11 on blood sugar levels. Planning your meals ahead for the week so you're not scrambling and reactive, using meal plans like we provide our members each week, or keeping your eating plan simple, aligned with core nutrition principles from our food list or various podcasts, such as the one we did on breakfast in episode 19. Checking in regularly with a trusted support program or community, like we do through our monthly check-ins with our members, is also highly beneficial for accountability and to get ongoing support. So these things are very simple, effective actions that keep you on track. When you focus on a small number of these core habits and do them consistently, that's where the magic happens. That's what leads to lower blood sugar, lower A1C, weight loss, and less reliance on medications. It's not about learning everything, it's about applying the right things. Small, consistent actions deliver the best results, not perfection, not complexity. One of the biggest risks of information overload is it pulls your attention away from what matters, and it tricks you into thinking the solution lies somewhere else. But the truth is, it usually doesn't. Keep it simple. Progress comes from staying consistent, as many of our members will know, not constantly changing direction. If you found something that's grounded in evidence, if it's showing results and it makes sense, stick with it. Keep going. There will always be another headline, another supplement, another diet trend, but more information doesn't equal better results. More consistency does. So as I said, go back and listen to those episodes. Episode 22, Episode 11, Episode 19. These can help provide some really good fundamentals. And of course, if you're one of our members, go back to the T2 diet program and the core guidelines we provide in that program and our core food guides. Often we need refreshers. We can go off track from time to time. That's what's so great about being a member with us, and what our members love is that we're always there consistently, giving them reminders. They have those check-ins, the weekly meal plans, ongoing resources that we have. Sometimes we're running events throughout the year, different events, having a community, being involved, whatever it is that keeps you going. The important thing is that you do keep moving forward. Keep it simple. Progress comes from staying consistent. So what can you do right now to overcome overload? Just take one step forward. Forget everything else. Listen to those 3 podcasts I mentioned and do one positive action step toward moving forward for yourself today. Do it again the next, and you'll soon see that this leads to great progress and you'll be feeling a lot better. So I hope this has helped, and thank you for joining me. That's all for me today. Dr. Jeddah, over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to Type 2 Diabetes Talk. Please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. And for episode replays, episode notes, and more, visit type2diabetestalk.com. New episodes are available Tuesdays, 10 a.m. US Eastern Time, or your time zone equivalent. Thanks again. We're truly grateful to be a part of your life and help make a real difference.